Part 5. The Big Dumb Final Battle. The big dumb final battle of this film has the audacity to last for 25 minutes of just straight visual noise. People just bust out all new forms willy-nilly, like there are seriously 4 just in this time span. Ancient O's Greed Absorption form, Kamen Rider Goda, Kamen Rider Birth X, and Kamen Rider O's Tajadol Eternity. Do ya think you might be overstuffing it a bit? We'll deal with those as they come up, but first let's address the battle between Ancient O's and Goda. So, Ank's big plan in this fight is to get his consciousness metal absorbed by Ancient O's, so that he can go inside of him and give Goda the dinosaur core metals. Now, I'm not sure how this is supposed to work, since none of the other Greed have seemingly maintained their consciousness from within inside Ancient O's, but sure, whatever. Goda kills Ancient O's, and then has the dumbest heel turn of all time and transforms into Kamen Rider Goda. Man, this suit looks ugly. It doesn't help that Ancient O's Greed Absorption form already looked like kind of a mess, but this just doesn't improve on the design in any way whatsoever. The head sculpt isn't half bad though, so I guess there's that. Now, Goda and Ankh begin their little battle, which just further goes to prove my point about the inconsistency of the complete forms. Then Goda ejects AG from the Kamen Rider Goda suit, and Ankh and AG do a fusion dance and bam, Date and Goto shows up, and Goto becomes Kamen Rider Birth X using core metals. I just don't know what to say anymore. Where the hell did he get this set of core metals from? Was the Kogami Foundation successful and just made another set of core metals they didn't bother telling anyone about? Why was no greed formed from this set of core metals? At this point, does it even fucking matter? Now, you may think the name Birth X is kind of stupid, since Rebirth is right there, but this is surprisingly excusable because there is an SIC Hero Saga exclusive form of Kamen Rider Birth called Kamen Rider Rebirth already. So, I guess Birth X was the second best option. Fair enough. Actually, wait, no, that's still stupid. Now this suit looks fucking badass. Too bad Goto gets his ass handed to him by Goda after he uses the suit for what amounts to like 2 minutes of screen time. He first shows up at 46 minutes and 13 seconds, and is defeated by Goda at 50 minutes and 10 seconds. Most of this time is spent on a conversation between Ankh and AG. So yeah, cool suit, but totally wasted. Then Ankh and AG fused together have their big showdown with Goda, and only, quite literally, 15 seconds have passed since the last power-up was beaten and another one was introduced. Although, somehow this one is even stupider. I guess Ankh and AG just will the avian core metals to become a new form. This whole scene is just complete nonsense. New attacks are constantly being thrown at Goda because not a thing has been established, and then Ankh just pulls a complete set of avian core metals out of his ass, even though he lost them literal minutes earlier, and loads them into the Taja spinner. Okay, so brief interjection here. Yes, the Taja spinner only needs 7 core metals, and he only loads 7 in this scene, but it's still, where the hell did he get the other 4 from? It doesn't invalidate my point, because he's still pulling core metals out of his ass. Also, Goda, the movie's main villain, just dies off-screen in an explosion, and I can only imagine we're supposed to assume that the metal containing his consciousness was destroyed in that explosion. I mean, are we serious? Does anyone give a fucking shit? This is just nonsense. I feel like I'm having keys jingled in front of my fucking face to make me forget every small little terrible moment, smushed in between other terrible moments. I watched this film twice for this review, and I genuinely could not remember Goda's death scene for the life of me. So for that portion of the review you just heard, I had to watch that part of the film again to remember what the fuck even happened, because it's such a blink and you'll miss it moment. Finally, Eiji just fucking dies. But at least he saved that little girl. Get it? It's an inverse of his backstory from the show. Aren't we fucking clever? Part 6. In the end. In the end, what did we gain from this shared time together? Well, I guess first and foremost, this movie is shit. Just everything from a story perspective is complete trash. The production value of modern-day tokusatsu remains intact, but it ends up not mattering much to me when the story backing up those effects is so fundamentally broken and ugly at its core. Really, when I seek to unpack my visceral, emotional reaction to the film, I just find it contains nothing. There is absolutely nothing of value buried within this movie for me. It doesn't seem to understand the series which it's a sequel to, which is particularly bizarre because the writer of this movie also wrote 6 episodes of Kamen Rider OOO's. So I just have no way of beginning to understand where this film is coming from. Not a one. Perhaps that's just my cross to bear, being unable to understand any of what this utterly confusing film is going for. I guess, though, it's worth trying to end this with some sort of positivity. After all, one of the primary themes in the show of Kamen Rider OOO's was finding positivity out of nothingness, as represented by Eiji's lack of desire for himself being the largest, most altruistic desire possible. The goal, to save as many people as possible. So to save you all from this film, which I have spent way too long breaking down, I guess I'll recommend you some good Kamen Rider shows, and tell you why this movie doesn't even really have to matter. The truth about Kamen Rider is that since the series is an anthology, continuity means ultimately dick all. So if you don't like one series, who cares? It doesn't have to affect your enjoyment of the shows you like. In fact, this movie doesn't even have to be a part of the OOO's canon if you really don't like it enough. But I digress. Good Kamen Rider shows. My standard recommendation is always Kamen Rider Double, a stylish, frenetically paced show with amazing characters who all play off each other perfectly. The show's detective elements significantly dilute some of the typical repetitiveness associated with Toku. The show's just awesome, even if those last 5 episodes are a bit of a messy emotional roller coaster. Then there's Kamen Rider Kuga, which isn't so much a Kamen Rider show as it's just a police drama with tokusatsu elements. If you want something more grounded, and do note I use that word loosely, it's generally considered a masterpiece of the genre, so worth a watch. You've already heard my pitch for OOO's, so I'll just say that's my third one. Really, that's my perspective on the whole issue. Don't let this one bad experience discourage you. In fact, I think that's really the hidden joy of being a fan of something. You can make of it whatever you want. Your reality is supreme, and you can like whatever the fuck you like without having to worry about all the bullshit baggage that comes with it. Anything goes.